Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. Today's guest, Jennifer McGurk, registered dietitian, struggled with an eating disorder in high school, college, and throughout her dietetic internship. And when she went to therapy, she discovered how resilient she really was. Plus, she was introduced to intuitive eating, and it was a combination of the two that truly changed her life. She was impacted so much that it became her mission to help people heal from dieting and feel fabulous about food. Now, as a certified eating disorders registered dietitian, Jennifer combines her expertise in medical nutrition therapy, psychology, and physiology to help clients understand their eating behaviors and gain the insight needed to make positive changes for their health. She is the owner of Eat With Knowledge, a private practice in Nyack, New York, and the creator of the online course Feel Fabulous About Food, which teaches clients all about eating disorder recovery and intuitive eating. Jennifer also helps dietitians, clinicians, and other wellness professionals build their own businesses. Pursuing private practice is the arm of her business that helps others get their own private practice up and running to achieve their own success. She is the author of 2 books, Pursuing Private Practice, 10 Steps to Start Your Own Business, and Pursuing Private Practice, 10 Steps to Grow Your Own Business. She is also the creator and instructor of the Pursuing Private Practice Masterclass e-course, now available to professionals. And on today's episode, we talk and discuss how talk therapists and RDs can best collaborate when treating clients with eating disorders. We hope you enjoy this episode. Hey friends, welcome to today's episode. I am super excited to have Jennifer McGurk on the show today. Jennifer is a registered dietitian, and we connected through the wonderful world of social media, Facebook, I think. And I got the idea that I wanted to interview a registered dietitian back when I did an interview with Dr. Ray Ann Merck, who is a psychologist who specializes in eating disorders. On that episode, she mentioned using a consultation model with registered dietitians, and that got me thinking. I wanted to find somebody that will come onto the show and talk to us talk therapists about how to work with registered dietitians when we are treating eating disorder clients. So welcome to the show, Jennifer McGurk. Please tell us who you are, how you became an RD. I love to hear people's backstories and how they got to be where they are today.
Yes. Thank you, Lisa, so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I think any opportunity to get in front of different professions about eating disorders is just such a privilege for me as a registered dietitian. And I love talking to other professions and so excited to be here. So let me back up a little bit. Let me tell you a little bit about my history and how I became a registered dietitian. So I actually struggled with an eating disorder myself in high school and college and thought that, specializing in nutrition in college was going to really help me recover. And I was so fascinated by the world of nutrition. Meanwhile, it actually did help me. I don't want to say that it didn't, but I did continue to struggle in college and in my dietetic internship. And my first ever appointment with my therapist was really the start of my eating disorder recovery and the resilience that I had in myself in order to recover, find intuitive eating, and then open up my own business specializing in the treatment of eating disorders to try to help other people, which has just been such a fabulous experience of growing a business in eating disorder recovery. And from there, it's actually grown to helping other professionals help their clients with eating disorder recovery and intuitive eating, because now I am a clinical supervisor and a business coach for other people that want to start and build a private practice in intuitive eating. So it's kind of come full circle. Like I got the help that I needed, figured out what I wanted to do with my life, was really, really resilient. And from there, I'm now impacting even more people, which is just such an honor.
Wow, that is an incredible story. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have therapists out there nodding their head and saying, I had a very similar experience. That's why I became a talk therapist. I mean, it's very similar to my life and my experiences, how I got to be a marriage and family therapist. I had issues with marriages and families and relationships with myself. And I went to counseling and I learned the skills, I learned the tools, and I was like, I want to help other people as well. And I I love your story because I think that's so many of us in this helping professional world. That's how we get into it. So I'm so excited that you're here. And thank you for telling us about your history and your story.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to say, I mean, therapy was really the thing that helped me so much. I am such a huge fan of the work that you do and the work that all therapists do, no matter their specialty, because we really do make, I don't want to say we, 'cause I'm not a therapist, I'm a dietitian, but all healthcare professionals that help people with mental health really do make such a big impact in their lives. And it's just such an honor to be part of that with our clients.
Well, this is really exciting. I'm so glad you're here. Now, before we jump into talking about how to help talk therapists work with RDs, tell us a little bit about where you live, because I know somebody's going to be listening and they're going to go, I want Jennifer to be my consultation RD. So can you talk a little bit about how that all works
Yes.
within your scope? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I am in Nyack, New York. That's where my practice is based out of. It's 45 minutes north of New York City. And I have a group practice now. So it's myself and my associate Alyssa who sees clients. And it's really great to have her on board because I am doing so many other things now with the business and sense of like starting a podcast and having an online course. I can't see every single client that wants to see me, but Alyssa and I do split the client work together, which is really great. And it's always so wonderful to have associates work for you because not only do you get that connection with them, you get to teach them and educate them and supervise them, which is so awesome. So yes, I'm right outside of New York City and our group practice is Eat with Knowledge.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. And being in New York, I know we briefly talked about how within the world of talk therapy, the licensing boards are kind of like you're licensed by your state. And so how is that similar for you if you were to work with somebody outside of your state? Can you talk a little bit about
Yes,
that?
it's so confusing. And I swear, probably when this episode airs, it'll be different. It'll be a different recommendation because I feel like it's always changing. But basically, yes, registered dietitians are licensed by state. However, New York does not have licensure, which makes
Okay.
it a little bit tricky. So technically, the citizens of New York State can see anybody, and it's really not that big of a deal for medical nutrition therapy. But dietitians, there are some issues with dietitians crossing state lines just because every single state is so different. So if I saw someone in California, there's a specific set of protocols I need to do in order to get licensed in California, and same with Texas and Michigan, et cetera, et cetera. So right now we don't see people virtually unless they are in the states of New York and New Jersey, because that's where Alyssa and I are. And that's where we feel comfortable kind of taking people on, because usually that means too, even if they're an hour or two away, they could come see us every so often in person. And we're not breaking any laws when it comes to
Okay.
the state lines.
Okay, that's really good to know because I'm in South Carolina and a lot of my listeners are based here, and I just want them to know that, they would have to find somebody local or in South Carolina more than likely. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Well, the good news about dietitians becoming more popular and being on podcasts like this is that we can offer lots of resources for people. So I have no problem sending you some links. If
Okay.
you are out there listening and you want help finding a dietitian, there's a couple different sites, especially the ones that specialize in eating disorder recovery and intuitive eating that I'm a part of. And you could type in your zip code and you can find someone local to you if that's something that you're looking for. So I will definitely give that to you so you can include it in the show notes.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. That's great. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's dive into how can talk therapists work best with RDs?
Yes. Well, I have to say, I feel like this goes both ways because dietitians work with therapists all the time when it comes to client cases, and therapists need dietitians when it comes to client cases. So I think whenever you're dealing with something like an eating disorder, of course, it's nutrition related, and of course, it's therapy related. There are two different things going on that each professional can help the client with. And as when you're working with a team, like as a team approach, you really do get the best kind of treatment possible. And I would also add in the eating disorder world, you probably need a medical doctor. I don't want to say probably, you need a
Yeah,
medical doctor on your team as well,
sure.
monitoring the different medical pieces that can happen when someone is struggling with disordered eating. So I do not work with anybody, a client, without a therapist if they need one, because I feel like if I do work with them and they really need something else different from me or in addition to me, I'm just enabling the eating
Sure.
disorder. Like I really do need them to get the best possible treatment that they can have. And that is working with a talk therapist. So I like to say eating disorders have everything to do with food and nothing to do with food all at the same time. So basically what dietitians do in the treatment of eating disorders is help clients figure out like what is the best food recommendations for them? What are some guidelines when it comes to meal planning? How does having a healthy relationship with food look like? All the different execution things. But a therapist's role is really figuring out what the eating disorder is doing for someone.
Right.
It might be rooted in anxiety, mental health, self-esteem, addiction model, society, dieting, all those different things that can come from just being a regular human being in this world. So when a therapist is on board, they can really deal with a lot of that piece, and the dietitian can deal with the food piece. And sometimes I feel like dietitians make the therapist role so much easier because we're dealing with the food and they can get to the real good stuff.
Right.
And then on the flip side, when the clients get to the real good stuff, they have a lot easier time with some of the nutrition recommendations that we might make.
Yeah.
So we all work as a team, which is really great.
That is cool. So what does it look like for a case? How does the consultation model work best? Do you guys hop on the phone? Do you get on a Zoom? How does that work? What does it look like?
Yeah. So I do have an in-person local office. So people do come to my office for an assessment. And an assessment by a dietitian can go so many different ways. But typically what I want to know are medical history, weight attempts and weight changes and weight loss attempts, because typically that will tell me a lot when it comes to any type of disordered eating, especially binge eating, which is really what we specialize in, although we do see clients for anorexia and bulimia as well. I want to know all about what a typical day looks like for someone, what their regular, and I say that in quotes, regular food patterns are, if it's different during the week, during the weekend, what are their favorite foods, what are some goals that they want to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that goes into an assessment. An assessment really, for me, it's about figuring out the short-term goals with working with clients, in the next couple months. Like if we work together every single week, it's going to kind of look like this. Very, very, very client driven. So I want to figure out what they want to work on and what they're struggling with. But we also definitely want to talk about long-term. What are some of the long-term things that you want to get out of this nutrition counseling partnership?
Gotcha. I like that. It sounds very similar to a treatment plan or, setting goals in the therapeutic alliance with a counselor. So I think that's really cool. And I know that in the past, when I've had clients that have been struggling with eating issues, I wouldn't say so much, a diagnosed eating disorder, but maybe disordered eating, because I see that a lot just in my day to day. I do come across that a lot. It's really nice to have that expert that you can, default to and say, you really need to be working with an RD, someone who can give you good guidance, because that's not, my world. So, however, at the same time, it's nice to have that basic nutrition information at our fingertips as a therapist, that we can kind of make general. And I don't want to say like a broad sweeping statement, because everybody's unique and different in what they're wanting to do or what works for them. But are there certain things that we talk therapists should keep in mind or say to our clients, just basic nutrition information overall, that you would like to hear come from a therapist, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the best resource that I can give is the book Intuitive Eating. I feel like the book Intuitive Eating really does go through the 10 principles of having a healthy relationship with food. So the simple titles are really great information to throw at clients. Like one of them is Ditching the Diet Mentality. Another one is Honoring Your Hunger. The next one is Feeling Your Fullness, Challenging the Food Police, Moving Your Body in a Way that Feels Good, and Body Respect, and those types of things. So you can absolutely, as a therapist, just like dietitians can absolutely talk about managing anxiety,
Sure.
Totally okay. But I'm probably not going to go into the specifics of that, depending on how comfortable I feel with the client and what their therapist has told me. I'm going to always reinforce anything that the therapist tells me to reinforce, which is just working as a team.
Right.
But I think some simple guidelines like that are always really helpful to be aware of when it comes to the therapist role. Because if someone is saying to you, like, I'm not eating all day, I'm just not connecting with my body, you can absolutely say, well, that sounds a little off. What about honoring your hunger? Are you hungry during the day? Like, what's going on? What's your mentality around that? And then kind of taking it from there.
Cool. So these are great books that we should consider reading ourselves, so we have this knowledge bank for our clients too, and encourage them to check these books out too. Awesome.
Yeah, Intuitive Eating is a great. The authors Evelyn Tribole and Elise Resch also have a workbook out, which is really great too. So those two resources I think are the most basic wonderful resources
Yeah.
that I could recommend to someone.
I definitely have heard of those books. I want to say I may even own Intuitive Eating. I need to go and look. When you come out of grad school, you start acquiring all these books that you're going to get to, and they just start piling up. And then I need to go look in the attic because I have so many books up there. I hate to say
Yeah.
that, and I haven't read them all. But you just kind of niche down and you get into your world, and that's where you end. So now marriage counseling and all that is like my forte. But I totally love these recommendations, and I'm going to go read them to have, because I think it probably can apply to other symptoms that other people might be showing up in your sessions for, talk therapists out there. And it's just all good information to have. If it's something that you want to learn more about, these sound like great recommendations. So
thank you so much.
Oh yeah. This episode of The Therapy Show is sponsored by my favorite fitness apparel, Zaya Active. I recently discovered Zaya Active when I went looking for high quality and premium workout clothes. Just like those luxury store and catalog brands, yet I wanted a budget-friendlier price tag. I love this brand because number one, I live a very active lifestyle. I hit the gym about 5 days a week, plus I love to go for runs and long walks, which I consider to be my very important self-care and podcast listening time. Plus, the endorphins I get from my workouts keep me in my happy mental space. The clothes stay put, I'm not constantly pulling on my leggings or tugging on my sports bras, and they accentuate me in all the right places. And number two, when I work from home, I love to be comfortable in leggings, also known as yoga pants, and a tank top. Plus, I can transition to running out the door to pick up our girls or run errands while still looking put together in my athleisure styles. My favorite workout leggings are the light and tights, and my favorite everyday wear are the everywhere pants. I literally wear them everywhere, every day. I can even wear them to business meetings or client consultations. I can dress them up or down easily. Want to learn more? Head over to lisamustard.com and click on the activewear page. You can learn all about Zaya Active, the mission, the clothes, and see if they are a fit for you and your active life. From weight training to running to Zumba to yoga to CrossFit to bar to walking to tennis, Zaya Active has you covered. And don't forget about the active men in your life. They have an amazing men's line, plus clothes for active kids too. That's Zaya like papaya active. So see my site for all the details. So aside from that, I know that you also have a business of helping dietitians grow a private practice. And while I asked you earlier if it would apply to talk therapists, because there are a lot of folks listening that are wanting to maybe leave an agency job or, pivot a little bit and go out on their own and start seeing clients privately, after hours or for extra money or whatever. I imagine that the similarities and wanting to go out on your own are kind of similar, with a dietitian. Can you kind of talk a little bit about your business and how you help dietitians make that transition or help them through that process? And if there's anything that applies to talk therapists, we will definitely pull it out and we will, we'll start thinking about it as well.
Yes, no, I love it. So Pursuing Private Practice was born in 2015. And it started off as actually a side business of my private practice because I just had so many dietitians ask me how I grew a business and I wanted to create a resource for them. So yes, I do have 2 books out on private practice. The first one is How to Start a Private Practice. And the second one is How to Grow a Private Practice. They're available on Amazon.
Okay.
They absolutely would be applicable to healthcare professionals, to any healthcare professional. And that's a great resource for anybody. But in the spirit of niching down, which I know is so important for all businesses and really has just been like a natural progression for me, I decided that I was going to create a course specifically for dietitians in the intuitive eating and eating disorder recovery space. So it's not that therapists aren't necessarily allowed to join. It's just that I feel like there are better resources out there specifically targeted for therapists when it comes to private practice. So you can absolutely learn from me and buy the books if you're interested. But I feel like an investment like a course and a program, they're probably a little bit of a better resource for therapists out there. But I love connecting with therapists just even to say hi, because I just feel like the more we can get connected in the mental health space, the better it is for all the clients out there. Because the more therapists know about dietitians, the more dietitians know about therapists, the more that we all work together and we have better outcomes for clients.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And you're right. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking about the therapists out there that have courses or programs where they help counselors grow a private practice. There's a lot out there. And I think it's super cool that you can niche down and really hone in on your expertise and that you have this really cool business now for helping other dietitians, start their private practice. I think that's really cool. I love it. There's the opportunities and the possibilities are endless for those out there in the listening world. You can just, just start getting, if you desire to, you've got that entrepreneurial itch, like just start investigating, see what's out there. I mean, that's what I did, like for the podcast, just started looking around and I was like, I'm gonna do a podcast. But that's, I just get so excited about that stuff. So I think it's super cool what you're doing. And if I can be of any support, helping you grow your course or grow your business, I would be happy to do that. Okay. So if talk therapists want to learn more about you, you have your books on Amazon, you would recommend finding a course for talk therapists and there's plenty out there for that. Do you know anybody that you've connected with that you like to refer to?
Yeah, no. So I actually just was asked that question the other week. And I remember looking up some different things and I found some new programs that I just wasn't necessarily aware of when I did a quick Google search.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably not the best to give a recommendation specifically because I haven't done any of those programs, but there are, I think there's like 4 or 5 out there that are looking at least excellent when it comes to therapy. And the reason why I say that, I don't want to say that and just say like, oh no, I don't see therapists, it's totally fine. But what I do in my course, in my program, is I help people not only start their business, but the nutrition counseling strategies that they need in order to keep clients in their practice.
Gotcha.
So with that being said, it's too muddy of a water for therapists to kind of go through that because we just have different scopes of practice. But that's what I really would encourage anybody out there looking for a program or a course. It's not only building the business side of your skills, because that's what it takes to run a private practice, but it's also figuring out your niche and how to work with those clients that are your ideal client and the specific strategies that you need in order to keep those clients in your practice. I think that's just so important because we could talk about business all day, every day, but if you can't keep clients in your practice, you probably have some skills that you want to work on. And I say that very empathetically and compassionately. Like I remember my first 10 people that I had, I lost them probably after 2 sessions because I just didn't know what I was doing all the way back then.
Right.
So it's been a journey for myself in order to become the best counselor I could possibly be. And I feel like I went from an education model in the sense that this is exactly what you have to do, A, B, C, D, to a counseling model, which I feel like therapists have a one up on dietitians when it comes to that, because I feel like you have so much training in counseling. Dietitians have a lot of training in education, but not necessarily counseling skills unless you're seeking it out.
Oh, I can remember my first days out there as a therapist. Yes, education. I'm just going to educate. And then they didn't come back. And I was like, but when you slow down, I mean, our paths are probably so similar in how this all has played out. And, if you don't try something, you don't learn how to do it and, grow through the uncomfortableness of losing a client, but you got to go through all that to kind of grow and to evolve and to find your way in this, counseling or helping professional world. It's pretty
Exactly. Oh my gosh. We could go into like the different lessons that I've learned business wise and client wise, but I didn't even have a cancellation policy my first year and a half in private practice.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did I not have my business boundaries up, I let clients just reschedule whenever, no big deal. And that's not good for anybody. You really have the boundaries that you set in private practice as a business owner are so good for your clients too.
Oh yeah.
Like texting to cancel appointments, like that does not fly with me anymore because people need to own the fact that they have something to say to you, which is an amazing lesson, like an amazing teaching tool for your clients.
Yes.
So I feel like the stronger you have your boundaries set, the better example you are for clients that really do need that sometimes. And I say that with such love and compassion because I know what it's like to be on the other side of the couch.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, I hear you too. And I remember when I was, the first time I went to counseling and I had to reschedule or cancel, I was and I think I was in grad school at that point and she still charged me the rate. And I was like, but I have a good excuse. It wasn't like I just didn't feel like going that day, but no, I mean, I learned then that this is her business and that's her time. And I had to learn and that was good for me because then down the road when I was in the chair, I had that kind of already set kind of because I had been through that experience myself. So Yeah, this has been such a great interview. If people want more Jen in their lives, where can they find you?
Yes. So my favorite social media platform is Instagram.
Okay.
Jennifer McGurk RDN, which you can totally follow me there and say hi, and that you found me through you, Lisa, which I absolutely love. My Pursuing Private Practice website is pursuingprivatepractice.com. So there you can get information about the books that I offer and the course if there is a unicorn intuitive eating dietitian listening, which you never know because I feel like we listen to therapy podcasts because we need this information too.
Sure.
And if you're interested in all things intuitive eating and my local private practice office in Nyack, my website there is eatwithknowledge.com.
Okay, great. This has been so helpful. I'm so grateful that we connected and that you were able to come on to the show today. Is there anything else you want to share before we say goodbye?
Thank you to all the therapists out there, because I really feel like my different therapists in my life have been so impactful. So I just want to say a huge thank you to your profession, because it's truly great. Like the work that we do with clients is life-changing.
Well, on behalf of all talk therapists out there, you're welcome. It feels kind of weird saying that, but yes. And
Yeah.
I know that I've worked with some great RDs over the years, and I have friends who are RDs, and, so grateful for the knowledge and the different areas that everybody specializes in. It's so needed, and everybody's doing, just helping and just helping people, helping people, helping people. And so I'm grateful for you guys as well.
Thank you, Lisa. No, that was awesome.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content. And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.